Since years, Nigeria has witnessed a mass movement of its citizens, especially the youth, to different parts of Europe, Asia, and even Africa in search of what has been termed greener pastures. But the numbers have now reached alarming proportions, with many wondering if the government isn't merely folding its arms. TVC News' Veronica Dan-Ikpoyi reports.
The biblical exodus of the Israelites leaving Egypt for the Promised Land might just paint a picture of the kind of movement Nigeria has witnessed in the last decade. Their route may not be a physical Red Sea, but some have had to endure the most excruciating of human conditions in the bitter walk to a better life wherever they can find it outside the country. The federal government says there are at least 15 million Nigerians in the diaspora, and more than half the adult population say they'll leave the country if they had the opportunity.
In the course of my job, eventually I went to France for some time and I saw how things work. Transport system, like everything, so wonderfully structured, and it's working, So for me, I feel, if I can't go, again, I must work towards seeing that my children leave this country.
Quite all right. It's not easy anywhere, but I feel over there there are still more opportunities than being in Nigeria, where there are literally no opportunities. There are not enough opportunities for people that are here.
Nigerians are the largest national group of African migrants who travel to Libya and attempt to cross into Italy by sea. But Libya isn't the only risk destination. Recently, over 400 Nigerians were evacuated from South Africa after a spate of xenophobic attacks.
These are people who have lost everything they ever worked for. Let's show love, let's show togetherness, let's show support for them. They've lost everything they worked for and they are back home.
But why do Nigerians keep leaving the country despite the challenges they face in foreign lands?
If you look at the Constitution of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, Chapter 2 says that the primary purpose of government shall be the welfare and security of the people. And the big question is, as we speak now, what is the welfare provision profile of the country? It's very, very low. What is the security profile of the country? It is almost zero, and this is globally acknowledged.
A recent report by the World Poverty Clock shows Nigeria has overtaken India as the country with the most extreme poor people in the world.
With leadership and sense of purpose, we can lift 100 million Nigerians out of poverty in 10 years.
Despite the president's promise, experts believe the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal to end extreme poverty by 2030 are unlikely to be met. This is because about 86.9 million Nigerians now living in extreme poverty represent nearly 60% of its estimated 200 million population. As Nigeria faces a major population boom, it will become the world's third largest country by 2050, a problem likely to worsen.
What are we doing to connect with the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations that was put in place in 2015 and will be evaluated in 2030 in terms of creating better societies?
Data from National Bureau of Statistics put unemployment in Nigeria at 23.1%, being the highest rate recorded in the country in the last decade. The data showed that the number of people who are able and willing to work in Nigeria increased from 75.94 million in third quarter of 2015 to 80.66 million in third quarter of 2016, to 85.1 million in third quarter of 2017, and then to 19.5 million in third quarter of 2018. A rate that could reach 33.5% by 2020. The National Bureau's papers further show that 55% of under 35-year-olds were unemployed at the end of 2018. Nigeria Labour Minister points to steps taken by the government to reverse the trend. The government's social intervention programs targeted at reducing youth unemployment and eradicating poverty have been implemented by different administrations since Nigeria gained independence. But the reality of Nigerian migration perhaps shows that it's between 59 years of efforts that have not struck the right chord. About 2,000 doctors have left the shores of the country in recent years. The Nigerian Medical Association say the country had less than 40,000 doctors left in the country. This is a far cry from the World Health Organization's recommended ratio of 1 doctor to 600 patients to a frightening 1 doctor to 5,000 patients. Earlier this year, a former president of the Nigerian Medical Association, Dr. Osahon Enabulele, said of the 72,000 doctors registered with the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria, only 27,000 were left in the country.
Recently, the Minister of Labor said that we have more than enough doctors in Nigeria. He even said any doctor who wanted to leave may leave. But you see the crisis we are.
While those who have the means have left the country, unemployment and acute poverty have become risk factors for continued criminality, from terrorism to kidnapping, banditry and drug abuse, amongst others.
Admittedly, some of the challenges still remain in kidnappings, banditry in some rural areas. The great difference between 2015 and today is that we are meeting these challenges with much greater support to the security forces in terms of money, equipment, and improved local intelligence.
Despite efforts on the part of government to address insecurity, the Foreign and Commonwealth Office of the United Kingdom recently issued a security travel alert to British citizens, cautioning them against traveling to 21 states in Nigeria. This has its own implications.
Right now, traveling around Nigeria is a nightmare to citizens. You now want foreigners to come into that environment.
Nigeria's recent population, estimated to be at 200 million, shows that the nation could be heading for another crisis if measures are not in place early enough to address an impending population explosion.
And the government identified the 3 key areas. Firstly, to fight insecurity. Secondly, to fight corruption. And thirdly, to work on the economy.
Where does Africa's giant begin to address these issues that are the heart of the mass movement by a critical mass of its skilled and informal population?
We need to reprioritize and discover that the essence of governance is to enhance the fortunes of the people. The hardship is haywire.
Nigeria is estimated to receive about $25 billion in diaspora remittances annually. Economists see this as a window to improve her foreign exchange earnings, but one of a huge cost, that Nigeria loses more on the long run. Veronica Dan-Ikpoyi, TVC News.